Instagram stories for Thursday, August 8th. I'm your host, Daniel Hill. The biggest news of the day has to do with an Instagram Insights update. Right now, when you open up your Instagram Insights, you see plays, which is the metric that is used to measure how well your video is doing, how many people saw it. The Instagram team has announced that they are introducing views as the primary metric across all organic and boosted media formats, which includes Reels, Lives, Photos, Carousels, and Stories. Views will measure the number of times a reel started to play or replay and the number of times a non-reel appeared on a person's screen. Views will ensure you have the same metric across Instagram and help you understand how your content is performing regardless of what format it's in. I'm going to let the head of Instagram, Adam Mosseri, explain a little bit more.
I wanted to give you a quick heads up about a change coming to Insights on Instagram. Now, for a long time now, you've been able to see how many plays a Reels get, and we're going to evolve that forward and make it consistent across all types of content. So photos, carousels, stories, and Reels. And we're now going to call it views. So your view is different than your reach. The same person can view the same piece of content multiple times. We're now calculating it in the same way, deduping it in the same way across photos, carousels, stories, and Reels. And you're going to be seeing this roll out over the next couple weeks. Now, if you're trying to figure out how your content is doing, the best thing to look at are not only views, but also sends per reach, which I've talked about in the past. So sends, reach, and views, probably the most important metrics for anybody trying to understand how their content is doing on Instagram. See y'all soon.
If you want to see some screenshots of what this looks like, the @creators account on Instagram has some that are included in a carousel. I will link to it in the show notes. It has some additional details. I don't think it's anything really earth-shattering, so I'm not going to spend too much more time on it, but just to know this major change is happening. Let's move on to some Facebook news, which is a little bit unusual because generally there's not much Facebook news to discuss. In a new blog post, Facebook has announced that it is now easier to learn from Facebook community standards violations. Here's what this means. If you're a creator and for some reason you receive a violation because of the content you've posted on Facebook, rather than get a formal warning and essentially having your content be put in a Facebook jail, good news, you now have the option to take a training course instead of receiving a formal warning. The Facebook team in a blog post, which of course I will link to in the show notes, included a screenshot showing what this looks like. It says, remove your warning. The first time we think you broke the rules, we add a warning to your account. We'll explain more about our policy to help you avoid restrictions in the future. Here's how we'll do it. Understand the rule that caused your warning. Let us know what you think about it. We'll remove the warning from your account this time, but your content will not be restored. And then you have an option to get started with the training course. According to Meta in this blog post, the updated policy is focused on educating, not punishing, first-time rule breakers. The option will be first available for professional mode users who are creators, and they will receive an in-app notification that points them to the educational training focused on the specific policy that they violated. In addition to removing the warning from their account, the creator will be able to participate in this remove your warning training again if they don't make any further violations for one whole year. However, if they do violate the policy again within that year time frame, then you'll get a warning that cannot be removed. Accumulating warnings and violations leads to the account facing penalties like reduced reach and more limited monetization opportunities. This actually reminds me when I got a lot of moving violations when I was doing a lot of driving in my early 20s. I had to take a defensive driving class, and they told me that after the defensive driving class, if I got any points on my license within the next 12 months, I would automatically lose my license. It seems like Facebook is kind of taking a page from that book. Anyway, take a look at the blog post in the show notes for more details. We are going to take a quick break. When we come back, the latest guest from my podcast stops by to share some information about Instagram Notes, so stick around. Oh, hey, welcome back. Recently, I interviewed content creator and monetization expert Kristen Bousquet. I didn't post the interview yet. I'm going to post it today, and then I will probably include it in this show on Friday. But Kristen is incredibly knowledgeable, and she recently made a reel about some of the changes that Instagram has rolled out for the Notes feature. If you're not familiar, and I don't think I had a chance to dive into this when it was released because I was on vacation, Instagram added the ability to add notes onto Reels, not your own Reels, but on other people's Reels. So this way you could start a conversation with other people who follow that same person if you have mutual follows. Here's Kristen explaining this new feature.
Here's what we know about the new Instagram Notes feature that just released on posts and Reels. It's basically a post-it note that you can add on to a post or a Reel, whether it's yours or someone else's, by hitting the share button, and then you'll see add note. If one of my friends leaves a note on someone else's post that I don't follow, that person's post has been coming up in my feed. So strategically, I think it would be a great idea for you to encourage people to leave notes on your post so that your post can go out on the feeds of other people that follow them. Some things to note: notes only last for 3 days, and they can only be left by mutual follows. So what do we think? Are we into it?
I think this is a really interesting way to start conversations with other people who follow the same accounts that you do. And I think it's an interesting twist that these notes are available on Reels for 3 days. Look for my interview with Kristen over the weekend on the weekend edition of this show. That is going to do it for today's episode. Check out links for everything I talked about in the show notes. And if you have a moment, please leave a review of the show. You can get there from the show notes. I would really appreciate it. Be sure to come back next time for more social media news, strategy, and other things that you need to know.
Let me tell you a couple things that you should know about me. A product manager but do not have a bachelor's degree, but actually that's factually a fraction of me. Another fraction's posting content irregular and irrationally. Still probably won't get a job at the Gram. They forgot, they don't know, or don't care who I am. That's why you never see me at the parties and events. My lack of followers must make me irrelevant. Don't have a course, a book to sell to make a bag of grand. Not a social media marketer, don't represent any brands. Plain to see, don't have an agency, but I got a lot of spam. Just putting in my work without the glitz and glam. Won't catch me eating fish unless it's shrimp or clam. No six pack, no risk that, there's a gym card in my hand. Don't have a full-time job, but I got a lot of plans. Stay plotting, dropping knowledge on TikTok and Instagram.